Welcome to Practical Access. I'm Lisa Decker.
And I'm Rebecca Hines. And Lisa, today I'm going to take the lead and introduce our guest because I'm so excited to have her. Today we have Tiffanie Zaugg, who is currently completing her doctoral work, but she has been an assistive technology coordinator and state AT lead for the Department of Education in Iowa. And she has created a tool that is so helpful to teachers and pre-service teachers. Tiffanie, welcome, and we're excited that you're going to share.
Thank you.
First of all, can you just tell us a little bit about L?
So L is an education and learning in an inclusive environment chatbot, and she came about because we all know ChatGPT's out there, and we have seen some of the hallucinations that have happened, and knowing that it also only goes up to 2021. And then Magic School AI came out, and I did a Zoom session with Magic School AI, and I was asking, so what are you training your chatbot with? And they wouldn't tell me, which I have a funny, there was a meme today. There's 3 things you don't ask. You don't ask a woman her age, you don't ask the man a salary, and you don't ask an AI company how they trained their bot. I thought that was quite appropriate. But I feel that, especially in education, we need to know where that information is coming from, right? We can Google lots of different things. We can ask ChatGPT a lot of things, but sometimes we don't get the information we need, or it may not be a best practice or an evidence-based strategy. So hence L came to be.
And tell me for just a moment, for our listeners who might not know what a chatbot is, I can only imagine my mother listening to this podcast going, what's a chatbot? What is a chatbot, and what is a hallucination of a chatbot? That sounds very 70s.
So a chatbot is a digital platform where you go in and you can ask a question or look for information, and the chatbot will respond by the information that it is trained with. So for me, it was going in and finding websites and documents that I could upload and websites that I could link to my chatbot to be able to answer those questions. And then a hallucination is when the chatbot just makes something up and to answer the question. And by training my chatbot in itself, I'm making sure that it's only trained to that information, and it's not pulling some crazy idea from who knows where. So
yeah, and Tiffanie, so these chatbots, I think most people would be familiar with them from, any website you go to anymore, your insurance, your stores, and there's a little pop-up that says, how can I help you? So it's almost a virtual assistant.
Kind of like when the little paper clip first came out by Microsoft, Clippy, I think was Clippy's name, and you could ask Clippy questions. That's what you can do with L.
So tell us a little bit about how using L is a time saver for teachers.
So one of the things for my dissertation is we measured how quickly lesson planning can happen, and making sure the lesson plans have accommodations, modifications, the universal design for learning strategies, the higher leverage practices. And we broke our pre-service teachers into 2 groups, and our 4-1 group some of them are still working on their lesson plan, while other people had it done with under 5 minutes by just saying, L, can you create a lesson plan for 4th grade addition of fractions? And within that amount of time, you had a whole lesson plan with all of the different accommodations, assessments, all of that. The students actually said it took longer to come up with an idea of what grade level and what content they wanted their lesson plan versus the time it took Elle to create it for them.
So tell me, if I were going to go out to, for our listeners, if you don't know, Claude AI, I tried today, Gemini is the Google platform, ChatGPT. I'm sure I'm missing some. Tell me, I loved what you said, that you really kind of vetted the resources, whereas we know the others are more open platforms. They're not picky about where they get their information from. How could we be more confident and maybe in the future know that a chatbot has some research behind it, and kind of how did you make those decisions?
So I actually have it opened right on the, let me explain, right when you ask Elle a question, she automatically at the bottom tells you where that resource came from. Two reasons for that, for me doing that, was one, I wanted the people that the information came from to get credit, right? I wanted the source cited. And the other thing is I wanted it to be able for people to get another resource. I was working with a speech pathologist one day and we were looking at Elle and she's like, I've never heard of the Iris Center before. What's the Iris Center? And so it's going through and talking about resources that we've talked about in our doctoral program, resources that I would have shared with Clear back before doing assistive tech. I was a special ed consultant. Those resources that I would provide. What Works Clearinghouse. Now, that was a website I had to go in and download the information off of and upload. But like the high leverage practices, I had to learn how to find site maps of websites. And with those site maps, then I can link them to Elle. And the nice part about that is anytime they upload anything new into their website, it automatically updates my chatbot versus the information that I constantly have to upload myself. I have to make sure it's current. So just going through those things that are best practice or evidence-based strategies.
So Tiffanie, I know that you put a lot of thought into where the information comes from, making sure these are all evidence-based practices, not just a wide spattering from whoever wants to post to the internet. What other types of things could a teacher look for or ask Elle to help with?
You could ask, well, if you're having a stressful day, Elle will give you some strategies. Say, can you provide me some strategies? I'm having a stressful day, and she'll give you some ideas as to how to decompress. You can ask for progress monitoring help. You can ask we did some task analysis. I've had people that have been using her to write emails. One of the emails was, how do I write a letter to Sam quitting? So it's interesting to see the different uses, behavior strategies. And that was one of the main reasons I really wanted to create Elle, is knowing that if I went out and just Googled, give me some behavior strategies, we know that there's strategies out there that we would not want our teachers to be using. So the whole, there's the positive PBIS is attached to it. There's,
and so I think from what I understand and from having looked at it myself, I think that Elle can even help with creating some of the types of things that you've said. So it's not just retrieving strategies, but I could ask, or can I not ask for, can you create a progress monitoring chart for X, Y, or Z?
Yes, Elle will create those for you.
So we can literally ask for materials to be created, and we can be confident that they're created using best practice. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I would love to know, what should I not use Elle for, or what are chatbots not good for? So I'm a new person to chatbot and think it will give me a pay raise. Like what are things that chatbots, what are the limitations we should understand, or the guardrails for that? Because I think that's a new discussion in AI, is where do we not use it? Where is it not safe or doesn't give us what we need?
I think no matter what chatbot you use, even L, you should vet what it's saying. You need to look it over, make sure what you're doing. Just don't copy and paste and say, oh, this is the next best thing, right? So making sure that you do have correct information, making sure that things are vetted, making sure there's no hallucinations and citations are correct. Those are the big concerns right now. And then obviously the whole use of not citing or not providing citations for people that deserve those for their work.
And if I'm correct, it can't help me understand how to creatively think. Like, give me creative, it can give me ideas of ways I can get kids to think creatively, but its limitations for human emotion and creativity are like zero. And I think that's important for listeners to know too.
Right. And the most important thing is knowing how to write a prompt, right? Knowing what you need to ask. And I think the prompt is what is that creativity piece of each person. Each person that asks their chatbot, that's the creative part, and that's the individual piece of it.
And so, Tiffanie, my final question is, if I'm a young teacher and I'm pretty tech savvy, what's something that I could maybe do on L that I wouldn't have thought of doing?
Maybe, well, even coming up with ideas for classroom arrangement, L can help with that, breaking down tasks, especially for some of our students, I think is important. And just scaffolding, right? Being able to scaffold your materials is so important.
And I'm going to end with a really easy question, I think. What would be the most common way you've seen people use L as a new teacher that maybe I don't even know where to start? So here's a really easy way that lots of people have found it very successful.
Creating lesson plans.
Okay, lesson plans. Got it. Great. And can it do it by standard? Because I think our by state standards, or is it more generic?
It will provide state standards. Some of them are Common Core standards, but L does have the Florida standards in there. And then some of the other ones depend on the state.
Got it. So I would, if I said I'm in Colorado, Nebraska, Hawaii, it may or may not do it based on that state standard.
Right.
Okay.
So an example is some of my other chatbots that I've created. Their science and social studies one have the Colorado standards in it. So it's just asking and it'll actually spit out what those standards are so you can double check them.
Right. Good to know. Good to know. Well, we are excited. And of course, we will post for our listeners the link to your L site so they can play with your chatbot and give you some more traffic. But we appreciate you taking the time, Tiffanie, to join us. We know you're busy with that dissertation and can't wait to see you graduate.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. All right. So if you have any other questions for us, you can tweet us at Access Practical or post them on our Facebook page.